Hi, I'm Geeta Nandikotkur, Managing Editor for Asia and Middle East with Information Security Media Group. I'm happy to welcome you to the last session on the agenda, an exciting panel discussion on Outlook 2021, how to build a cyber resilient enterprise in the post-COVID era. I have a panel of experts with me to discuss how enterprises in the region have been tackling increasing phishing attacks, cyber extortion, and other forms of targeted attacks during the ongoing pandemic, and what needs to change with cybersecurity as we progress into 2021. Happy to introduce the panel. We have Nina Chauhan, Chief Information Security Officer at Edelweiss GIC. We have Nirupam Srivastava, Vice President, Strategy, Artificial Intelligence, and Digital Transformation at HeroCore. And we have Kiran Belsekar, Vice President, Information Security at Agon Life. Welcome, friends. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Geeta. Thanks for it.
Friends, I'm sure you would agree with me that the cybersecurity threats are amplified by the ongoing pandemic and also with the emergence of new technologies such as IoT and also with the cloud momentum. So against this backdrop, I would turn to Nirupam to understand. Nirupam, you come from an interesting background, a large manufacturing sector, and also working on the digital transformation journey, right, within your enterprise. So what are the significant issues that you witness within the security teams as part of this digital transformation and cloud momentum from a security standpoint?
Thank you, Geeta. I think I will categorize the issues in three segments. Okay, the first one is supporting the current business or enterprise. The second is transforming the current business thanks to the environmental changes, COVID and all. And third is managing the business from cyber risks, which have multiplied manifold. So in this context, all three kind of lay importance because we just are coming back from a slowdown. So maintaining and supporting the current business from a technology standpoint is equally important. If you already have IT systems, you want them to be up and running and safe. Simultaneously, a lot of business models have got appended. So what we are used to do in physical world and over telephone has now got replaced with online and VC. So, and that has involved a lot of change at a user level also. And last but not the least, there has been a significant threat level increase, especially we all read the news every day, whether it's a confectionery manufacturer or whether it's a pharmaceutical company trying to develop a vaccine. All are getting attacked by actors which are much beyond their control and which have much higher sophistication. So all the three factors lay importance in my current scheme of things.
Nina, there's a big wave of innovation happening in the insurance sector with the new products being rolled out. So how has this pandemic impacted the insurance sector's cybersecurity processes?
During this lockdown, one of the performing industry was the insurance sector. Also, most impacted by cyber attack was also more on insurance sector because we deal with too much of PIs, personally identified information, and yeah, innovation wise, there are a lot of things that are happening nowadays with more strategically around AIML and digital transformations. AIML is a thing that is being touched upon more in insurance sector with uh, motor modeling. Insurance reports are being reviewed through an AIML platform, more cognitive. But there is a shortage of skills and manpower when you are dealing with this. And the most important thing, everyone wants to be called themselves as data scientists. But that being a specialized field, I think we need to be more careful about how we deal with this kind of data, what all access controls are being provided, and who has access. And so I would always say that I will not trust the model which is being built based on just the developer who are there, but I would like to do it more about an AI model integrity and validation checks on myself before I proceed with doing that activity. So it is more critical that your AI models are perfectly trained to give you the exact data.
Kiran, you too come from a highly regulated sector. And how do you think this pandemic has impacted your sector and in terms of protecting your data and assets.
See, thanks, Geeta, for having me part of this panel with Nirupam and Ninad. Nothing different challenge than what Ninad has been speaking about. We too have been regulated, highly regulated, I would say, along after banks. It's an insurance industry which is quite highly regulated, and pandemic has been our quite kind of an issues which we have caused in terms of the raise in cyber risk, which we are seeing like 42% has been rise in the cloud security. There has been the number of times, if I was looking at the threats which have been coming about, there are 3 to 4 times rise in the cyber threats on the non-standard assets as well. So employees and their endpoints are being highly targeted nowadays. Coming these, while are we speaking, these are becoming the new perimeter for the hackers perspective. And unfortunately, in cyber security, there is no silver bullets coming across. So this has been a rising challenge coming across for the cyber security and for the CISOs specifically. And it's absolutely an unfair game, which I would say that for an CISO perspective, where we have to be always right, while the opponents has to be just right only once. So yeah, so it's quite a challenging stuff.
As we have witnessed, the region has been tackling several forms of attacks and cyber extortions and phishing scams and so on. So what kind of technologies are being harnessed by these enterprises in tackling these challenges? And are there any tactical or strategic approaches that are being adopted? Maybe Nirupam?
Sure. So again, structuring this, there are 2, 3 levels where this issue can be tackled at. One is definitely the infra. So whether you are using a cloud or whether you are on premise, one of the big learning has been that neither of them are secure. So because both of the guys have been attacked, so the fallacy has fallen. So those guys who would either side and blame the other side is gone now. The second part is on the application front and the data front, especially. So we have now more SaaS-based applications, cloud-based, collaborative applications between different parties, and all the data is on the cloud. So again, your data privacy and data security becomes very, very important. Kiran also mentioned. This is going to be critical. What data are you collecting? What data are you storing? How you are storing? So that's very important. And third is the human factor. So ultimately, your system is as good as the best or the weakest link, I should say. So if your any link is weak, so then you will face troubles. So and against a determined opponent, any system can fall. So there is no foolproof and fail-proof system. So that is where the things are. So how you can return back from that failure is equally important. So I'll stop here, and I will like to hear from Ninad and Kiran also.
Yes, Ninad?
Thanks, Nirupam. I agree to your point, but here a slight difference of opinion where I would like to point out that with this entire process, I think we have to be more careful with the zero trust network, or we are trying to trust everyone who is there. And people are the weakest thing who should be targeted to get them aware. Like what is happening nowadays is that every time now with work from home scenarios, our boundaries have increased where we reach out to the people and where they connect from. With zero trust, we are trusting that someone in front of me is doing actually a right thing. Yeah, in this part, what I would say is more important that we trust the employee and we train him to understand what is right, what is wrong. We cannot always say that technologically I've given him restricted doing things, but no, with this, I think we have to more focus on empowering him to make a judgmental decision, a right decision about what is right, what is wrong.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So I'll take it on from there, Geeta. User awareness is a prime aspect for it. I'll diverge my focus more on the cloud security perspective, where I was talking initially about 42% rise in the cloud security issues which we are seeing. This is all due to a human error and the configuration issues which we have seen. So the kind of approach I would recommend to the industry perspective is formalizing a strategy when it comes to any kind of a cybersecurity perspective is in terms of having a step. So we decided protection, detection, and then the automation. So these were the strategies what we had defined. So have your protection layers in place. So your firewalls, your web application firewalls, or your EDRs or antiviruses, all of the malware protection solutions, then also have a detection solution as well. So you are protecting what is known to you, but there are also you will have unknown assets as well, which will always cause threats and which are the major issue. So we have a detection layer. You can put it into a digital risk protection or a digital risk management solutions or a service around it. Have your cloud posture management. How is the visibility from an external perspective? What are things? Because these issues, whatever you mentioned out, the e-commerce players, these are all actually a cloud configuration issues. Either the secret keys has been leaked out or the buckets has been kept open. These are the only visibility how we could have it is by having appropriate cloud posture management solutions in place. So which is very important. So that's the strategy. And once you have the protection and detection in place, you know what are the automations you need to build upon to ensure that there is an automated response or remediations applied to it. So that's the strategy which I would recommend as in this thing. So I have actually worked upon these. So these are some recommendations which I would share out.
Kiran, that strikes me to ask you, as you rightly mentioned, most attacks we found recently are due to cloud misconfiguration. And what I understand is the primary task for enterprises has been to invest their energies in detecting the threats early, or their indicators of compromise or indicators of attacks. So, where are the shortcomings, and how successful have they been in doing this?
So this is one of the important emanations of having the IOCs in place. So that at least it'll help us in terms of putting the remediation or knowing what kind of a threat are moving around and putting in action. The challenge is in terms of remediation perspective, where it will be always there are a number of sources which gives the IOCs trigger out, but in terms of putting them across, uh, uh, and because those are quite manual in nature. So I think the one of the other things which we internally are working upon is on the automation of these IOCs deployment as well. So it could be on the any layer of the infrastructure or an application, and it's not an easy task. It's a journey where this thing. So while we have started also embedding the security into our DevOps pipeline so that we ensure that there are early feedback systems which has been provided to our engineering team as well as to the technology team. So that it's not the traditional methodology in the way we are working. So because people are the developers in current state are quite anxious in terms of getting any kind of security tools in place. So but it's also a culture in place, changing the culture, which is quite important. This thing earlier we had a challenges when we used to deploy the security tools, but now at least the team has started realizing the importance, the way the news have been spread across. It becomes people are also realizing the importance of it. The management has started realizing. The leadership team has been speaking to CISOs regularly about it, how secure we are, what are the controls we need to really invest upon. So this has really helped us the current situations in terms of CISOs to come across the board, talk to the table, and really deliver and get the larger visibility in the current state of affairs.
Ninat, you would like to add?
Luckily, we are one of the companies who was born in the cloud, and we started off our journey in 3 years. Where my major challenge over there when we started was to have security solutions which are cloud oriented, which are meant for cloud and not customized for the cloud. So even with this security operations, that is a challenge. That there is a way difference between how a traditional SOC works and a cloud-based SOC, which we realized when we evaluated some vendors. And the criteria was to understand how do they handle incidents, limitation. Now we are also, as rightly pointed with Kiran, also rightly pointed that now it is important that we automate that IOCs, getting IOCs integrated, because your configuration management, cloud configuration management, posture management services that are offered, or you can develop on your own where you do a continuous governance of your cloud infrastructure. The most important aspect, what I would like to highlight here, is that you need to know what your boundaries are, where your data is going to flow, first of all, who is going to handle that data, and how you're going to manage it. Then comes your part where on the detection piece, where you are going to detect. So if you know what your endpoints are, where your data is going to lie, it becomes easier to find out what is going to be your attack points and your entry points and exit points. So my major challenge when I look after a digital transformation project is to understand what are going to be my data, where it is going to reside, who is going to reside, and who is going to handle. Then comes my exposure piece as to where all my things are going to be exposed right away onto the internet. And then comes about your configuration, device configuration management. What all things are directly exposed over the internet, and can I control them by having a limited exposure? Like most of the times with my cloud-based experience, I can tell you that your S3 buckets are directly exposed over the internet, and that's where your concept starts. S3 buckets or your folders, like Kiran basically said. What I have implemented is I have implemented a zero trust environment where I've told you if I want to share this data with the vendor, please let me know what your IPs are, and I will allow you access only from that IP. Over a period, I have matured myself to get to that point where I say that I know what my data is, where it resides, and who needs access. Yes, but on a raw internet, it's difficult. So it is more about trusting what the person does, and I know my endpoints where data is going to reside.
Nirupam?
Sure. So I would, and Kiran and Ninad has covered a lot of it, but I would like to add, like email has become the number one vector. So email security, domain security is primary. I've seen so many cases now where uh, people click on the links in their emails and which lead to all kind of chaos. So email is definitely first. Second, important is ransomware. So ransomware is now coming in two parts. The first part is your data locking. So which is your data needs to have enough backups and safe backups with air gaps and otherwise what do you want to call it, so that you can recover the data even if it gets locked and you can have your systems back up running. The second part of ransomware is now exfiltration and leaking to the public, which again has a couple of points. One is, of course, checking the exfiltration, and Ninad already covered endpoints, what's happening, where the data is going, where it can be leaked over the network. And Kiran also referred to the cloud security in terms of buckets, etc. The second part is also in terms of the customer value. So Ninad referred in the early part, artificial intelligence. So we can leverage a lot of AI to see whether the transaction is a genuine one or a fraud one. We have enough parameters on the customer, where he's using from, what he's using for, what his patterns are. And if we use these kind of analytics, this is actually very helpful to save and prevent fraud and of course data theft based on what the behavioral patterns of customer usage are, and not just customer or employee usage for that matter. So this can be also used in various ways to prevent and to secure the IT systems and applications and data. So these are the 2-3 areas I would like to highlight in this sense.
As security practitioners, what is going to change for enterprises in 2021? And what are the new risks that you anticipate? Kiran?
So there are two themes which I feel which is going to really work from not only 2021 but onwards 2021. So one would be people would be working from anywhere. So so we need to staff, we need to ensure our controls are appropriate to ensure that people are working, because that's a new business norm which the business team will really look upon. Working back to the earlier normal, I feel I don't see that's coming back soon. This thing, so we'll have large employees and people are voluntarily offering that as well. The other thing is, which is going to come across, is the adoption of the de facto standard, technology standard, which is cloud, DevOps. So these are the de facto standards which will continue, and the adoption is going to really grow considering the current situation as well. Because in terms of scaling up larger, that is an only way, and that is an only innovative method where you will be able to roll out your products faster, time to markets as well. So these are the two themes which will actually decide the overall security strategy, uh, basis your the individual organization maturity perspective. They will have to start their journey accordingly, but the focus areas are going to be these two. That's what my gut feels, and which I am also experiencing and socializing whatever with my peers as well. So I could see that that's the way forward.
For me, with the digital transformation, there is something which is going to come as a bigger picture. There is business relying on AI ML for their analytics, for their new business models. And what will become critical for CISO is they need to be a step ahead because to deal with the AI ML challenges, they're going to present you with different set of challenges uh, with different set of challenges. And major concern again over here will be the not just the endpoints, but how the modeling is going to happen. Data security, that is the old traditional way of maintaining the data security posture, is going to play a critical role. Also, there are now a simple script kid is going to be called as a data scientist because they like that word. But yes, we have to be a little bit careful. How do we deal with those kind of people who want to call themselves data scientists? What all data is to be exposed to them and how we handle it.
Nirupam, what are the new risks that you anticipate in 2021 as you work closely with the technology and the security groups?
So, a couple of things, first is security is less spoken, unfortunately. So, it gets spoken only when something goes wrong, which I think as a culture needs to change in any business for that matter, So, security needs to come not only when something has gone wrong, but also as a part of design, as a part of development, as a part of operations, and as a part of board discussions as how businesses are secure in terms of their data, in terms of the risk that these things face. As we move ahead, we will have data privacy law in India. I mean, we are probably one of the last countries to get in. Everybody else has gotten. The good thing is then we learn from their experiences, and it has given time to the businesses, but we are going to have it. So we all need to be focused around that. So data privacy is going to be a big factor. Now we already see businesses getting fined with big amounts in Europe, America losing a lot of access. So this is going to be an important. So earlier we start, the better it is for the business. From an M&A standpoint, customer data risk is an important risk, especially if your acquired, I mean, the target company had security breaches. So it's very important that there are proper disclosures and proper legal and regulatory actions being taken. So, for example, if there had been a breach and if you have not disclosed to the regulators, stock markets, etc., then you could be in trouble. So, work with the agencies. The challenging part of COVID is that agencies are swamped actually. So, in fact, I had a recent incident with one of my friends. It's because so many cyber incidents are happening, they are not geared, neither they were planned for this kind of emergency situation. So they are swamped. They don't really, if you do not have a really big case and big thing, it's a long queue outside the door. So you have to be self-reliant, Atmanirbhar, as Prime Minister calls it. So every business needs to look at security from an Atmanirbharta perspective and build their own systems security to fall back on and to recover. So this is what I see overall in coming year.
Nirupam, you made a relevant point. Most organizations are now self-reliant. And as organizations are moving to this self-service model, where automation is the name of the game, and Kiran also rightly mentioned, automation is playing an important role. Against this backdrop, what are the focus areas for security practitioners that you recommend that they need to follow to build a cyber resilient enterprise as we progress?
So it's quite a larger question actually. But let me give a couple of bits over here. So one thing is embed security into your secure development lifecycle. So get security as early as possible. So try to get your secure the way developers or technology engineering team is developing their applications. Put all your tools into integrated with your CI/CD pipeline so that the early feedbacks is been given, and put your security gates in early in the life cycle. So it's not that the team really has to wait till the end of the delivery to do the security assessments. Give them at whatever stages they are doing the testing, development, it becomes easier for them. That's one aspect which I would like to go, and improve your detection is the second one. So try to have the posture management of your entire IT landscape. Try that would also help you to detect your unmanaged assets as well. While most of the focus is always been there with our known assets, but we will always have unknown assets as well. Well, considering the cloud adoption, which has grown largely into marketing operations team, you'll always have some unknown assets as well. So try to detect them and manage them, control them. That's the second piece of advice from my end. Yeah.
Ninad?
Earlier, we used to say that security culture has to be embedded into the organization. But now, with the privacy law, I would say data security culture has to be embedded that we can prosper and make our transition to privacy as a law more easier for us to consume. Again, something which I'm totally engrossed nowadays is with the AIML projects which are being integrated and being introduced into the organization. And this is going to be a bigger challenge for most of whoever deals with personally identified information. And insurance sector is something which is going to deal with it. User awareness is something which I would like to again enforce on, something which will help us to leverage. And the technology is always going to be there, but I think the weakest thing is something which needs to be added early, and the user awareness emphasis on different ways, like something which I would like to really appreciate Axis Bank, who did a fantabulous job in giving out a video which was more themed on Diwali as well as on the security awareness, and something which is quite innovative, and we should always look at some ways of engrossing with our customer as well as our employees today.
How is this concept of cyber insurance picking up, Kiran? So is that one the practitioners need to be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So while I think regulators are also getting into it, they do understand now the kind of financial or business implications any kind of a cyber threat is going to bring to the business. So the adoption of cyber insurance has quite largely. I do not see much regulators interference, but I could see something RBI coming across with it, but SEBI and RDS still not mandated it. But from an cyber hygiene perspective, I think this is also one of the important parameters. The only aspect we need to look at the business volumes, the kind of digital penetrations we are into. So this also gets a discovery phase as well. So what kind of a risk exposure you are really into in digital world. So it's a fair practice, I would say, as part of the best practices perspective.
Nirupam, what do you see as the takeaway?
See, I think two or three key factors besides what already covered are, one is your third party risks. So you are not alone, so a lot of work that your organization or our organization does actually gets done through our third party vendors. So having audits, having contracts, proper contracts first, which cover these kind of terms. Second is the audits, which bring out these gaps, where the gaps lie. And third part is again taking action on those gaps to plug those holes is very important, because unless we make the entire chain secure, as I said, entire supply chain secure also, just securing your organization may not be enough. So and again, nearly all information security framework cover all of these elements, in fact, and they are getting more and more developed. So US Department of Defense came up with their new framework, for example. So these are these are things which are being happening, but we need a lot more industry bodies also. Some of them are doing, like you guys are doing fabulous job, hosting these kinds of summits, bringing in awareness to people, bringing people together so we can learn from each other also. These are very, very important things, I believe, and we need more of it. Since, as we say, the cyber criminals are organized, it's time that businesses also get organized around this. So we all need to collaborate. We all need to work together and take this forward. That's how I see it.
Thanks, friends, for sharing your perspectives and setting the expectations for practitioners for 2021 and the key steps or practical approaches one needs to take to build a cyber resilient enterprise. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Geeta,
Thank you.
Nishant, and
Thank you,
Kiran.
Geeta.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
This is Geeta Nandikotku for ISNG. Thanks for attending.